Hello, everybody. This is Miss Ginny from the Rotary Children's Library. Today on Art Creations, we are going to be doing some salt painting. So we're going to be doing a spider web like this and a pumpkin. So what you're going to need for your supplies today is you're going to need some paint. You can use any kind of paint you want. You can use acrylic paint. It's going to be watered down. Or you can use tempera paint. You can use a washable Crayola paint. It's pretty much anything you want. Or you can even use food coloring. So I have different colors of food coloring there, and that's what I'm going to use. And I have a little bit of paint that I was going to use. So what you're also going to need is you're going to need some table salt because it's salt painting, so that's why you're going to need it. I also have a container that I can put my salt in after I've used it, because you're going to be using a generous amount of salt. You want a little container that has a bit of water in it too, because when you're using your food coloring or your paint, you're going to be watering it down a bit. Plus, you'll want to clean your brushes every so often. And of course, you'll want some paint trays or containers like I have with paint in it. Now, I've pre-mixed mine. So I used blue food coloring and I put a bit of water with it. I used a purple, a green, and an orange. You can choose whatever colors you want. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do is you go on our website and you can print off the templates that we have on there, and you can print it off on cardstock. Now, you can print it off on white cardstock. So I have my pumpkin printed off there, or you can print it off on black cardstock if you have any. Don't do it on construction paper because construction paper soaks through too much. And this, you're using glue, water, and paint. So you want to use cardstock if you have it. All right. So the other thing, as I mentioned, you're going to be using glue. I find that Elmer's glue works pretty good, but if you have a different brand, that's okay. That's not a problem. Just make sure that your glue, you can get it out of your bottle quite easily. I even have some little bottles of Elmer's. Okay, so the other thing that I did was I drew a face in my pumpkin. You can see I just drew it lightly with a pencil, so you might want a pencil handy. You don't have to draw a face in, but I wanted to put a face in mine, so I'm going to do that. So once you've got your templates all printed out, then you're going to mix your food coloring. You just need a little bit, put a bit of water, or if you're using paint, then you can use that. And I see that we've got someone joining us, so I'll just go over this really quick again. Today on Art Creations, we are going to be doing some salt painting using making a spider web and a pumpkin. So I mentioned you're going to want some newspaper to put down on your table because it's going to be messy. You're using glue like Elmer's glue. You're going to be using some table salt, and you're going to want a little bit of water in a container because you're going to be watering down your food coloring that you might be using. You might want some food coloring, which I find pretty easy. Or you can use some paints, any kind of paint, tempera, Crayola paint, any of the paint, but it's going to be watered down. And of course, you're going to need some paintbrushes as well. All right. The other thing that I would suggest you have is some tinfoil trays or some sort of a tray, because when you're sprinkling the salt, it goes everywhere. So you want to keep it contained. Something that has sides on it. All right. You can print off your pumpkin through our website on this craft. It's called salt painting. It's pumpkins and spider web. And I drew a little face in the inside of my pumpkin because I want to do a face in there. You can put it on white cardstock, or like I did with my spider web, I put it on black because it'll show up, the colors will show up even better. So let's get started. So of course, obviously you want some cardstock. Don't use construction paper because it's too thin, and with the water and the paint, it'll soak through. It's not going to be a very good, good thing for you. All right, so here we go. I'm just clearing my table a little bit of some of these things. The other thing you'll probably want is paint trays or some container to hold your paint in like I've got. Okay. So the first thing, once you've printed off your template, and if you're drawing in a face for your pumpkin, go ahead and do that with a pencil. And then you want to take your Elmer's glue, or whatever glue you're using. I find Elmer's white glue is just the easiest. And now you're going to trace around. I'm going to put it down. You can see hear my voice, but you're not going to see my face so well because I want you to see the craft of what I'm doing. So now you're going to put glue. So shake your glue down, and you're going to follow the lines on your pumpkin all the way around. So get a fairly thick thing of glue on. And following the lines, because you want a fair bit of glue. And when you're doing the glue, don't worry if it comes out kind of thick because you want it to be a bit thick. Try not to drip it everywhere else. Just follow your outline. I'm putting some in the middle for my eyes on my pumpkin. So I'm doing my pumpkin first, and then the nose. And when you're lifting your glue up, tilt it up to the side because the glue will drip otherwise. So you can see, I'll just show you my picture here really quickly. I'm not going to turn it too far sideways. You can see I've got glue everywhere on the outline. So now I'm going to sprinkle a generous amount of salt. You want to cover all of that glue. So my picture is in this tray for that very reason. I am going to cover it until all the salt is really covered on that picture. We don't want any salt. Or we don't want any of the glue to be coming through. We want the salt all over it. All right, so you can see I've got a lot of salt there. So now here's the key. You want to pick it up gently on the side. I'll just put this down a bit. So pick it up from the side. Don't tap it because you do want the salt to be on there. And just turn it slowly over to the side. So don't tap it. And you can see that I have a fair bit of salt on there. So once you've done that, move your tray out of the way and then take your orange paint that you have diluted with water, and you're just going to be dripping, just tapping slightly with your paintbrush on the part that you want orange. Now, what happens with the salt, and you'll see hopefully in this, I hope you can see it, is what happens with the salt is the paint will move along once you drip it on there. So make sure you put it where you want. It's going to move both directions. It's kind of magical. You're just basically dripping it on, tapping it on lightly. You don't have to stick the paintbrush really right into the salt. You're just holding it kind of above and dripping it. And you're doing that all the way around your pumpkin because, of course, your pumpkin's orange. I had a little bit of an extra drip there, so just be careful of that too. And it's going to be all the way around. And be careful not to take too much because I can see mine is already, I dripped a little in a couple spots I didn't want to, but it's okay. So you can easily just take your picture and tilt it if you've got a little too much dripping on one side there, but don't shake it out too much. So now I've got my orange for my salt painting on. The inside, the eyes and the nose and the mouth, I wanted to use kind of a yellowy color. So now I'm going to take a different paintbrush and I'm just going to dip some yellow in there. You can make whatever color you want. You may not have any eyes on there. You can make them green if you want. Whatever color you want. This is up to you because it's your pumpkin. You can even combine some colors if you want. So this is just green that or yellow that I made from my yellow food coloring and a bit of water. Now you can see there's a bit of orange that kind of dripped on my yellow. That's okay. Your picture can be whatever it is. Now I want to take another paintbrush and I'm going to do the stem of the pumpkin. So I've got some green that I had mixed up. Some green food coloring and water. And I'm going to do the top stem in green. So it looks like a pumpkin. All right, hopefully you can see that. I don't want to tilt it too much because it's going to run otherwise like it is right there. So it has to dry. So now I'm going to do my spider web. So that was my pumpkin. Now I'm going to do my spider web. I'm going to do the same thing. I have a tray. I have my spider web printed out on a black cardstock this time. I want my colors to show up really bright. So I'm going to take my glue, and first thing you got to do is follow all these lines with glue. Don't worry if your lines aren't exactly straight. Just try to follow them as best you can to make your spider web. You can see so far, I'm making my spider web, following the lines down. Remember, you need a fair bit of glue, but not too much. Just be careful with it. You don't need to overdo it. So the spider web takes a little bit longer to put the glue on because, of course, there's all those lines that you have to do. And remember what I said when you hold your glue so it doesn't drip anywhere else? Just hold it up to the side each time you take it off a spot, and then it's less likely to drip anywhere else on your picture. I'll just put this up here while I'm doing this so you can see my face. And I'm still just gluing to make my spider web. And then once I've got it all, the glue all on, I will take my salt and shake it generously over the glue. This is called salt painting. So this is going to be your Halloween spider web. Now it's easy to see the white glue on the black cardstock. So I can show you what I've done here. I just don't want to tilt it too far. So you can see my spider web is all in glue. Now I'm going to take my salt. Now because I use salt for my pumpkin, I saved that salt from the tray right here. Just dumped it in my little bowl of salt. And I'm going to sprinkle it generously over all the glue of the spider web. So I'm just sprinkling it all over because I want to make sure that that spider web is covered completely. So I just keep reusing my salt. So then I'm not always having to take fresh stuff out. Now I kind of feel like I could use a bit more, so don't worry about it. Just use a bit more till you feel you've got it completely covered. All that glue is completely covered. All right, so remember with the pumpkin how we took the pitcher and lifted it sideways, so it just gently, we didn't tap it because we want to get the remainder of the salt off. The rest of the salt will stick to the glue. So you can see there's salt on there now. Now I'm going to move my salt tray away. And this is the fun part where you get to take your colors, whatever colors you want, and you're going to use your paintbrush and you're going to drip paint on. So I'm going to start with blue. You can start with whatever color you want. And I'm just going to drip it on. And as I said, it will spread. I'll just turn the computer down here a little bit too so you can see exactly how that's working. You can see the colors appearing. Remember, you just barely have to touch the salt and it spreads. So you decide how much of one color you want to wear. And obviously when it's on the black cardstock, or it shows up really nicely. So I don't know if you can see that, but when I touch one spot, it'll spread in all directions like that. Make it as dark or as light as you want. That's why it's nice to have it on this black, because it really shows up. So I've started mine with the blue at the top, and then I'm going to switch to another color. Okay, now I'm going to put some purple on. I'm going to see about putting some purple on because that'll look kind of nice. Again, I'm just dripping it on. I don't even have to touch the salt. It's just kind of just above it, and you drip it on and it changes it into the color. And if you can see in this video, hopefully it's spreading really nicely. And sometimes they'll mix a little bit. Don't worry about that. You make your spider web however you want, however colorful you want. Maybe you want it all in black, but I think with the colors, it shows up a little bit nicer on the black construction paper. If you printed yours off on the white cardstock, sorry, not construction paper, cardstock. If you printed it off on the white cardstock, then it'll show up on there if you're using black. Okay, I'm going to switch to another color. I think I'm going to put a little bit of green. Just to make it a little different. Make it stand out a bit more. Again, mix all your colors in different parts however you want it. So you can probably see through the video now how it's getting all nice and bright. That white glue and the white salt is turning different colors because I've put different colors on. All right, now I'm going to use a bit of yellow just to make it look even better. Give it a little more color. Okay. Just about done. And then you'll be able to see this lovely picture. I might even put some blue on the very end of it. We'll see. I think I will. Maybe not. I think that yellow looks pretty nice down there. So I'll hold it up, but it's still wet. So you have to be careful if you're lifting it. Don't lift it if you don't have to. I'm just lifting mine because I have a video to show you. So now you can see, and I'll try to put it sideways. You can see the colorful spider web. So I hope you enjoyed that craft, and I hope that you will join me again soon. I will be back here again on Tuesday at 10:30, and I will be doing a crafting with Ginny at 10:30. I'm going to be doing a popsicle stick spider. And then in the afternoon, that's on Tuesday the 20th. And then in the afternoon, I am going to be doing coffee filter bats at 3:30. So join me at Rotary Children's Library with Ginny, Crafting with Ginny, next Tuesday on the 20th. Have a great weekend, and thank you for joining me today. Bye.